Welcome back to CFB Nation. I'm your host, Nino Brown. I got my co-host, the man of the hour, the myth, the legend, Deep Fried Draft, Brian Bosage. And when you see us on the screen, you guys already know the deal. It's the Garnet Roost. Brian, how we doing today, buddy?
I'm gonna tell you, Nino, when I signed off for this, man, I thought it was gonna be we were gonna be more upbeat and more positive, but man, they've sucked the life out of me these last few weeks, and it's like I'm trying, man, I really am. So
Ah.
sorry for all the negativity that's gonna come out tonight and came out last week,
Oh.
but the beatings will continue until morale improves, I guess.
I got the doc sent to me by my guy, and right underneath it, it said, I'm thinking about wearing a paper bag. And I was like, oh, we're going to have a good episode tonight. This is going to be one. So I'm ready. You know the drill. It's the rapid fire. And I'm coming out right out the gate. Shane Beamer is a blank.
Coward.
I love it. I love it.
I'm sorry, man. You're down 2 scores in the fourth quarter and you kick a field goal inside the 7 yard line. They kicked field goals on 3 possessions inside the Missouri 10 and trailed the entire time.
Mhm.
No, sir. That's coward play. That
Yep.
is just not winning. That's not how you win football games in the year 2023. It's just not.
Y-
It,
eh. NFL, you get fired. Like
yeah.
coaching like that in the NFL, you get fired. I understand college is different, right? I understand that, but the going about it, you can't. You can't do that. You can't do a disservice to your kids like that.
No, it's just it's a coward's way to play football, and I I, I don't know. The team still seems to all love him, and we're going to talk a little bit later. The recruits they have lined up, they love Shane Beamer, and and I don't mean this. I like Shane Beamer as a coach. I really do. I like his energy, his enthusiasm, and everything. But man, just grow a set. That's just all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. Like I had a sour taste in my mouth last week with the foot thing. I brought it to and I mentioned it to you. We talked about it. 3 minutes into the press conference, I'm like, come on, man. What's the deal here? I feel like he's come unraveled a little bit. I feel like he's as frustrated as us, the fans, are frustrated with what's rolling out because there was a lot of hype, a lot of like, ooh, this could be the year for them. Not saying the natty, but this could be the year where they kind of turn the corner, right? And no.
It's not working out. I and the scary part is it's not working out now. The SEC is about to expand by two
Yeah.
top 10 teams.
Yeah, it can only might only get worse. All right, let's get to the second question. What is the percentage chance that the Gamecocks land number one overall 2025 prospect, 5-star David Sanders? I mean, Clemson, Bama, Georgia, and South Carolina, the top four. And also, what's the percentage that they land number two defensive lineman Elijah Griffin, who's got Georgia and South Carolina on the docket?
I'm gonna go like 5% on David Sanders
I would love
and
it. I would love it.
40% on Elijah Griffin because
Okay.
I've heard more positivity geared towards Elijah Griffin than I have Sanders. And when you've got the biggest of big dogs, and I'm not counting Clemson anymore,
Yeah.
that was a shot.
Yeah.
Uh, Bama and Georgia, there it's hard to beat that in a one-on-one situation with Georgia over a recruit. I feel like you can land enough to win that, but with Sanders, I believe with Alabama in the mix there, that's going to be tough. And just because that's the four we got here now, that's not saying one of these others aren't going to pop in,
Right.
at some point too. So I feel the chances are much lower on Sanders than they are on Griffin.
Okay. I'm with. I mean, I would love Sanders to come. I'm with you with Griffin though. Hey, and I'm not saying it's like, oh, Griffin. I'll take the number two with no problem. Thank you very much. Uh, Number three, position you'd like to see the Gamecocks target in the portal this offseason.
This is easy to me. It's defensive back first. defensive back second, defensive back third. Um, Wide receivers, all kidding aside, is also a spot they're going to have to hit, I think, because and just with the, I, I don't know what to take with Juice Wells, whether there's a chance he could come back or not. I know eligibility wise, I think he would be eligible to come back, but
Yes.
you're going to lose Leggett. Um, I think you're going to lose. I think Amarian Brown may be out of eligibility as well.
Mhm.
So those are two guys you're going to have to replace. You have the younger guys, obviously, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. But I think receiver is a sneaky spot, and maybe even tight end again, right?
Right.
Because
Knox as well,
Knox
yeah.
and Simon both, I think, are going to be out of eligibility. You brought in Elkinis from Florida, but he hasn't contributed anything this year. He hasn't had to be
Right.
honest. But you've got a lot of young tight end prospects, I think, or recruits in the hopper as well that you're got a chance. So, but those are the spots. Maybe offensive line. I mean, they need to. I'm not saying they need to completely Colorado this roster,
No,
but
no, no, jeez.
but there's. I mean, you could make the argument to bring in 15 transfers on this team easy
Yeah, the line could use a little help. Like you said,
on both
DB.
sides.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, inside they're good, right? They get interior
Yeah,
pressure. But the edge, they brought guys in that ain't done a damn yet.
no.
So I think it's time to maybe bring some more guys in
So
until you
we're gonna try again.
try again.
Take it, roll the dice.
Until you hit, right? You keep going till you hit. I'm with the DB. We're gonna talk a little bit about these secondary again later on, but it's like I think everybody that we kind of had faith in it was starting to be like, oh, okay, we're seeing the total package with each individual guy. All right, let's get to this last rapid fire question before we break down the good, bad, and ugly, which is my favorite part. Michigan sign stealing scandal. Whatever, or throw the damn book at him.
This is a big nothing burger for me.
Really?
I don't care about this at all. And I'm going to look at this from two different sides here. One, I don't know if you saw the I think it was in his press conference today. Coach Prime had what he said about it. He said it
You
doesn't matter
still gotta, yeah,
how many signs you steal,
hmm,
you still have to stop the other team,
right, right.
right? So that's kind of where I'm at. It's like there's a story about Larry Bird said he went into they were playing. I can't remember who they were playing. He goes into their huddle,
Tells him,
draws out the play. This
yes,
is exactly what we're gonna do. This is where I'm gonna shoot the ball. And they did the exact same play. He shot the ball, scored, and won the game. You still, at the end of the day, you still have to stop it, right? And but flip side of that is to me, this is the fast track they need. The technology is cheaper and available now. The NFL's been doing this for what, a decade now
yeah, yeah,
with radio helmets.
right,
How do
yeah.
you not have a
High
green dot
school,
helmet? High school has it now, right?
yeah,
So how do you in college football, major college football at the FBS level, not have a quarterback radio and a one guy on defense with a radio? How
yeah.
is this not a thing? I think if anything, we're going to fast track this and 2024, 2025 at the latest, we're going to have radio helmets in major
Yeah,
college football.
I love what Prime said. I caught it. I also caught Matt Rule. Matt Rule pretty much said exactly what you said at the end. Like high school has the helmets
Yeah,
with the thing, and NFL has top technology. How does college football not have any
not
of
have
that?
it.
He goes, science stealing is the thing, and I'm with the science stealing thing, trying to hide it. But the thing that I'm against is the fact that there's a rule about it, and you're
Yeah,
doing it at future games,
right.
right? And the thing that catches me is you have a salary base and you have to live still. And for you to buy 30 tickets on your salary base, the money doesn't add up.
Mhm.
So that's the line where that's the only thing that matters to me. I don't get it's not, the science stealing thing, it's the future part of it. And somewhere along the line, someone else was involved financially.
Right.
So that's all. That's and I just bring it to light, see what happens. I'm not saying that they need to SMU him because but I think and I think Harbaugh kind of seeped it out when he tried to go to the NFL that things were coming down the pipeline, and he was trying to trying to.
He's got one foot out the door already.
Yeah, he been trying to get out. Like I think he sees a
Yeah,
lot. There could be more to come for different for whatever. I mean, like more suspension because they're already what it was. They're already on the. They would already taken 3 games this year, right? He couldn't coach,
right.
so we'll
Yeah,
see what
he's got one foot out to the NFL. I mean, there's going to be the Chicago Bears jobs probably going to open, right?
happens. Yeah,
And you're going to have probably 2 top 5 picks,
probably. Yeah,
right? So, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, he doesn't care.
yeah, yeah. He's just trying to make it through the season. That's it.
Right.
All right, let's get to my favorite part. Like I said, the good, bad, and the ugly from this Mizzou game. Give me the good.
I got 2 things here to try to build up a little positivity before we go off into terrible town here. But I just wanted to hat tip to Spencer Rattler here
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
he's having one of his best years
yeah,
collegiately, right? Uh, he's sitting here at 71% completions, 1,941 yards, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. It's pretty close to some his best season at OU.
yeah,
He's on like you've got here on pace for 3,000 yards, 5 interceptions. But he's been sacked 29 times,
yeah,
and he's had double digit drops. So, but he's just sitting there taking a beating every week,
yeah.
and some of the throws he's making though with a guy right in his face, man, there's NFL
Oh,
scouts
eating
are
that up.
are eating that up.
Yeah.
And now Jim Nagy, I don't know if you caught some of the
Yup.
stuff his this week. He's
Yeah.
talking him up big.
Mhm.
He's going to be in Mobile.
And I think that's a huge platform for
Yeah.
him. I think that'll be great for
Yeah,
him.
because his arm talent is going to show down there in the wind, in the cold in Mobile. It's
Yep.
going to stick out,
Mhm.
and he'll have a chance to get himself into day two with a good week down here.
I believe that as well. Like I said, his numbers are close. Like I think his best completion percentage is 73%, and that was the big year at OU. And he's right there, right? He's on pace for close to 3,000 yards, which was twice he had that, both times there. So it's like he's there. Week 3, we talked about over under 40 sacks. And we got away from it because they look good, but it's come down like an avalanche lately. And I think they might hit that
Yeah,
over 40 at the rate that
yeah,
they're going. But Spencer's been nails, and I think he could take that leap, like you said, at the Senior Bowl. So
yeah.
I'm with it. Next topic there that you like about this
Um, I
week.
almost feel like we should just start having a weekly like this should be a weekly segment called Harbor Watch here because I feel like we talk about him every week, but this was his best week
Mhm.
as a collegiate player. 57 offensive snaps this week. Finally, and I don't know if this was because Leggett and Brown and Wells are all hurt, so they have nobody else.
Hey, whatever, but you
But
got it.
but they seem to finally it seems to have finally clicked.
Yeah.
Hey, big, fast. Let's get him the football. They manufactured a run to him
Yes.
on I saw, and he just ran by Chris Abrams, drain a guy we talked about last week, who's got a big NFL future. Ran by him, and then when the ball was a little underthrown, he just out muscled him,
Yeah. Yeah.
made the catch. Then he had the tremendous catch downfield where he had to come back on the ball. His helmet hits the ground, his glasses fall off, and everything. They had to review the play because they thought his glasses were the ball,
Right.
and they reviewed it. And it was a clean catch. Had 3 targets in the game, 2 catches, 50 yards. He's now averaging on his 4 catches this season 25 and a half yards per catch. Um,
It's just crazy. Crazy.
Uh, he had 32 of his snaps, 32 out wide, 11 in the slot. So they're moving him all over.
Yes.
Like you said, it only took 8 freaking weeks
Yeah.
to figure out that he's probably our best athlete.
Athlete.
Let's get him the
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
And it just took a while, but it seems to be um, in the mind now. And like I said, we're going to talk in the next part here it's going to be a necessity for the
Yeah,
next 5 games.
yeah. I don't want them to pull the, oh, we just want to show it a little bit because of an injury, but now the now we're just gonna
Yeah.
take it back a little bit. This is what we should see going forward. I love the movement. I think that shows that they're willing to use his versatility and his athleticism because we talked about a guy with speed and muscle that we needed, and he matches that, right? We talked about a little bit of youth.
Yeah.
He checks all those boxes on what they were missing in that wide receiver room with all the injuries. So hopefully they continue to go forward with Hava. All right, the bad, my friend.
You ever seen a Santa Claus list from a 5-year-old?
Yeah, roll it up, roll it up, roll
Roll
it
it
up.
up, roll it
Yeah,
on out. That's about what South Carolina's injury report looks like right now.
yeah, it's
There are
terrible,
so many players. There's been 10 different offensive linemen have been hurt for parts of this season.
insane.
I mean, almost unprecedented, right? To see this level of injury to one position. Tree Babalade hurt his knee, and he was having a rough go of it. But before the injury,
Yeah.
there's a 37 PFF grade, had a penalty, 5 pressures allowed. Then he got hurt.
Yeah.
It did not get better on that
No,
side of the
no.
ball. But
Oh,
I'm gonna come back to him because I have a thought on him. But um, Amarion Brown's not going to play this week. Xavier Leggett has an upper body injury, and I'm putting that in quotes because that's all they're saying. I think it's a concussion, but they just don't want to say that.
put him in the
Just
protocol. Yeah.
I think he's in the protocol, but they're just not saying he's in the protocol. But I think just based off the hit, and because it was on a kickoff return,
Right.
and it didn't look like a shoulder because he wasn't coming off holding his arm.
Yeah, there was
He
none of
came
that
up. He came up
little
a little
wobble.
shaky.
Yeah.
I think it's a concussion, but I'm not a doctor.
Right.
Obviously, they're saying upper body injury,
It's
which
part of the upper body.
is part of his head is part of the upper body. So I think that's what it is. Funny, take this for what you will, but Shane Beamer thinks that Juice Wells can come back this season, but he essentially said it's up to Juice if he wants to come back this season. I don't know how to read that. I'm almost taking that as Juice has got one foot out the door when I hear something like that. That he
Yeah.
shut it down and he's going to the NFL.
Yeah. I didn't like that. Let me tell you that
I
that,
didn't
that was
either.
the vibe I liked either. I was like, okay, he's done because
Yeah,
you're saying that you'd let him play. And pretty much he's saying that, he doesn't want to play right now. And I get it because I don't blame the kid. What that another injury to that foot, and he's not now. He's pretty much throwing away millions, right?
right.
Because you're gonna just fall. So uh, it sucks because we could use him so much. He was so
Yeah.
electric. Every time he's on the field, he's something. What are your thoughts on Jakari Moore? 'Cause he was the best offensive lineman, I think, by default, right? He had an 81.8 PFF grade, but he only had 11 snaps. I mean,
He's going to play a lot this week, probably.
yeah, right.
So
Oh,
I guess we'll see if that gets any better or probably going to get worse. If we're
worse,
going to be
yeah.
honest. Yeah, I mean because Trevon Ball, the other freshman that's been starting, he's questionable, which I take questionable from the South Carolina staff is
Out.
not going to play.
Yeah. Yep.
This ain't the NFL where there's a 50-50 chance
Yeah.
that they're not. He's not playing. So same with Kason Henry, who started the first game at left tackle, and that brings me back to what I want to come back to. Babalade, I don't think he was meant to play left tackle
Yeah, I don't think so either.
because Kason Henry, another true freshman who won the job in camp, started at left tackle against North Carolina,
Got hurt.
got
Right.
hurt.
Yes.
And then so you moved, I can't even remember who they moved over to left tackle,
Was
but
it
then
um the gentleman's his last name starts with F?
I think, yes, I know who
Folger?
you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fulger, yes.
Yeah.
He didn't work out.
No.
So they moved Tree over there, and he was okay, to start with, and he's gotten progressively exposed. I don't know that he was ready to. I think they really intended to bring him along more slowly, but necessity made him play left tackle. I almost think he was groomed to take over the right tackle spot from Wanamaker and that group of whatevers.
He's been poor too, right?
Right. Um, Rashawn Lee, by the way, is another that is questionable this week. Probably not going to play.
Jeez.
So
Gonna get a
they're
lot
going to
of
have they're going to basically have almost an entire backup offensive line this week against Texas A&M, and we're going to talk more about why that's not great a little bit later.
yeah.
But the offensive line and the injuries, it's been bad.
Yeah. It's been absolutely terrible. Not as terrible as what we're gonna talk about in the ugly, but I think there's something else about this bad. We want to touch about. I kind of mentioned it in the first rapid fire here. Your boy, like what is he unraveled? Like I said a little bit, is he starting to unravel?
It, it's it seems it's the stress is getting to him a little bit.
Getting
Because last week the kicking the thing,
yes,
breaking his foot or whatever, and this week his immediate thing is going in because there's construction apparently going on at Faroe Field
right.
at Missouri. So the opposing media room is very small, and that's after that game. That's the first thing you choose to bitch about is how small the media room is.
Yeah.
Come on.
But as small as the effort on defense.
Yeah. That's let's just
Pick your battles, bud.
yeah, man. That ain't it.
Yeah.
That ain't it.
Talk about trying to eliminate the elephant in the room, right? Like I mean, buddy, you're not taking any light away from you when you do stupid shit like that. To open up, the media day or media whatever it is
Yeah.
closed after the game. But yeah, I'm with you. I think there's little stress cracks in the foundation a little bit for him right now. A lot of things going wrong. There's a gentleman that he probably wants to take over the barrel right now. He's had enough of himself. I think we've all had enough of him. Let's talk about the ugly here.
Defense coordinator Clayton White. He's
He
got to go, man.
gotta go, gotta
Got to
go,
go.
gotta go.
Got to go. I almost think he has to go. The DB, I think the offensive line coach has got to go.
Clean them all, clean them all out.
Uh, and the DB coach Torian Gray, it's his position group that's getting eat up here. The problem with that is he's probably your best recruiter on staff. So he's probably going to survive the purge.
Yeah,
But Clayton White, man,
no,
he ain't it.
no adjustment. He don't adjust
None.
to nothing. He just keeps running the same scheme, just with different players in different spots. That's not an adjustment.
South Carolina runs a 4-2-5. So quickly, that's 4 defensive linemen, 2
Right.
linebackers, 5 defensive backs.
Yes.
In most cases, like I don't know, 99% of the teams that run a 4-2-5, 2 corners, 2 safeties, and that fifth
Third
is
LB.
usually is either a hybrid LB safety
Yes.
or is a nickel.
Yes.
It ain't 3 strong safeties.
No.
And that's essentially what we're running out there every week is 3 strong safeties with DQ Smith,
He's
Nick Emenwari, and the freshman Jalen Kilgore, who has been great until this past game.
I'm a big fan of him.
And
Last game,
I have to.
yeah,
I've really become a big fan of him this year. He got
yeah,
exposed
yeah. Well, I
big
mean,
time
it's
this week.
also Luther Burden, Theo Weiss. They're bigger receivers, right?
And I agree,
I'm
but
not making
that's
excuses.
the SEC. That's the
Yeah,
SEC week in, week out, big dog. It ain't going to get
absolutely.
no better this
No,
week.
no. You're right. No, I
So
agree. And he's also, but in his defense, he's led the team in tackles 3 times this year,
right,
so he shouldn't have to be doing that either,
but
right?
the flip side of that is that's not generally seen upon as a good thing. As the
No.
safety being the leading
Yeah.
tackle bringer every week.
Right.
Former South Carolina quarterback Savell Newton had a observation for the game. He's like, any dumb offensive coordinator would exploit this dumbness. They should rush for 250 today. They almost did, or
Yeah.
maybe they did. Less men in the box every play and cover one behind it with safeties covering number 3. Did we not learn last week when Florida's slot receiver torched us? Well, guess we will grade our good on special teams, which, by the way, special teams wasn't too good either.
No.
And that ended up getting your best player hurt.
Yep.
So, your thoughts on what Savell Newton had to say?
it's kind of like what we said last week, right? When the gentleman, the alumni that
Pierce.
mentioned,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
he had mentioned like, why are we having these?
Swearinger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of these safeties, but you're not putting them in a position to win, and that's bad. And it comes down to coaching. And I'm sorry, yes, there's assistants and there's positional coaches, but the guy at the top of the board, his head's got to go, and it happens to be Clayton. Make some adjustment. You got kids. Listen, I've been saying it for weeks, and you've been agreeing with me. Put Pup Howard out there, right? Put Pup in that, that nickel hybrid, whatever you want. He's got speed. He's got athleticism. If you have to move him to the linebacker position and put um, what's his face, Slate
Stone
Stone.
Glenn.
Stone. Yeah. Put him in the spot. Like rotate it around. Do something to change it up because you're not doing anything and you haven't got any pressure on the outside in how long?
I almost think they could go to a 43 with Debo Williams as your stand up rush end almost.
Okay.
And something like that. Then you can get all three linebackers on the field
Yes.
that way. But that's
A whole different
a whole
discussion for a
different
whole different day.
animal.
Yeah.
But back to the poorest performance, Cody Schrader, Division II transfer running back, career high 159 yards rushing. Missouri had 40-plus yard offensive plays in the first half.
I put I put in the notes here. Right. Most people run to set up the pass. Missouri torched us in the run game, but they used the pass in the first two drives to set up every single run, and we couldn't figure it out. They did, again. It's like we're beating the dead horse. No adjustments, nothing. We're gonna roll out what we had in the game plan, even though the game plan ain't working.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
After seeing how Missouri attacked South Carolina this past week, I am really curious to see how Georgia defends it, just to see how it's properly done.
Yeah.
I want to see that whenever that game's coming up in 3 weeks,
Yes.
2 weeks. So, um, here's some other.
Yeah. These are some great ones.
Last week we talked about maybe they should play a little more zone defense. Well, we were wrong. 23 out of the 31 coverage calls in the first half, they ran zone.
Smoked.
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 They ran more man concepts in the second half, 24 of 29. Saw more success in the second half. Still not great, but they did see more success. So we'll take the L on that one. Coach Nino and Coach Brown will take the L on that one.
They were wet tissue out there, so they were terrible.
Here's some other stats that I just found to be completely awful.
Gross.
This is their fifth straight loss to Missouri. This is their fifth straight loss to Eli Drinkwitz as a head coach, including a loss to then Appalachian State head coach.
And I hate him so much. Oh, it hurts me.
This one feels really bad. Since Steve Spurrier left, there's been three coaches. Sean Elliott, now the coach at Georgia State, was the interim for the rest of that season. Will Muschamp and Shane Beamer. They are 9-23 in SEC road games. 4 of those 9 wins are against Vanderbilt.
That's gross, dude.
They've got 5 straight losses to a top 25 team. The last 4 have come by double digits.
It's coming up.
In SEC games as a head coach, Shane Beamer is 8-13. And we talked good about Rattler earlier, but this, maybe you can explain how this one works, because there's a Furman in here in these 3 home games.
These I can explain. All right, go ahead.
So in 3 home games this year, 315 yards per game, completing 85% of his passes, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, sacked 6 times. 4 games away, this includes a neutral site game, 249 yards a game, 63% completion, 1 touchdown to 4 interceptions, sacked 24 times. So he's sacked 4 times more on the road or neutral than he is at home,
He has 4 times more interceptions on the road and
all
at
the
home.
road as
I'm
home.
pretty sure it's simple. The problem, it's not Rattler. It's the fact that his line does not show up on the road. They barely show up at home. You know what I mean? But they don't show up on the road at all. How does the main guy, the focal point of your offense, getting sacked 24 times? I would like to know how many times he's got pressured or hit. It's probably in the 60s.
Yeah, he has one of the highest pressure rates of any quarterback in college football for sure. Um, so I don't know.
I mean,
Let's move on from this depressing and talk about a little something positive.
yeah, and when I seen the recruiting thing, and I seen Reno on there. I got excited. Talk to me because I haven't mentioned him to you for a while, and I'm gonna keep pounding this until you get tired of hearing me. I'm gonna tag these kids that are coming in. I know you told me not till you get to see him with your own eyes in that stadium will you care. Well, I seem to be all right with Sellers, right? He seems like
Right.
he's gonna be one, right? And I think these next two guys are gonna be one too. So let's talk
Well,
about this guy who's been
yeah.
out in Connecticut
Uh,
doing it.
lead recruiter for the 2024 class, quarterback Dante Reno, 4-star in your neighborhood up
Yep.
there, Connecticut.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
this past week threw for over 500 yards. I don't know who they played, or if they could have been playing some trash school. I don't know, but 500 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, had 60 yards rushing, or had 5 touchdowns total, I should say. I think one was a rushing touchdown. So he's putting up big numbers. He loves Shane Beamer. He said as much on
Yes.
Twitter today. I don't know if you saw that or not,
Oh,
but
that's his guy. That's his man.
yeah, he loves Shane Beamer. Um, Reno's going to come in. I think he's going to early enroll. I think that's what you told me.
Yeah,
That we believe that's the case. So he'll sign in December and probably enroll in January, and he'll compete. I think with Lenore Sellers and what I think we both anticipate will be a transfer to come in to compete
yeah,
with those two to be the number one quarterback replacing Spencer Rattler next year. I mean, he was elite 11 quarterback. I mean, he's got good size. He can move. He can throw. So can Sellers. It'll be fun to watch in spring,
yeah.
and we'll be talking about that for sure when
I
that comes around.
I'm a fan of Reno. My guy Eric Froton, he was at the Elite 11s. He said Reno had one of them big jumps at the Elite 11s. Kind of came in there with a lot of questions. People saw what he could do and his his physical size and his arm strength, and they were like, Okay, listen." They put up back to back games for Cheshire Academy. Reno's put up 41 points. Okay, they played Williamston, Northampton, out of East Hampton, Massachusetts, where he went off last week for the 500 and the 5 touchdowns. So, and they were a 4-1 team coming into it. So it wasn't like they were a crappy team. So Reno is playing against top competition in his league and dominating. So I love it.
Um, their 2025 target at quarterback Ryan Montgomery hasn't committed yet, but they seem to be in a good spot here
Yeah.
out of Findlay, Ohio, I believe
Yep.
is where he's from. He's completing 68% of his passes this year. He's gone over 3K with 35 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. So they're trying to stack these quarterbacks.
Hmm.
Like I said, the odds are one or two of these guys will, even if they commit, will end up transferring down the road.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is
It
now.
works. Yeah.
But yeah, so Montgomery, they could go Sellers, Reno, Montgomery here, and then Duckworth in 26 already committed.
Right.
If they keep him around, they'll have he may end up having the Alabamas and Auburns come after him at some point, and you know you get in state there, that
Yeah.
gets a bit dicey.
Yeah. You got to lean one
So
way when it goes out.
right, you might be leading the pack now, but Hugh
Yeah.
Freeze might end up needing a quarterback at some.
Yeah.
Well, he does.
He needs it now.
So
So
right, needs it now. Another guy in the 2025 class visited during the Florida game, announced his top three the other day, and that's 2025 linebacker out of Nakushi, Georgia, Antoine De Solare, 6'1", 230-pounder, Got South Carolina, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss listed in his top three. So,
I love it. I wish Oklahoma wasn't in there because it seems like they're getting all of the defensive recruits in the last couple years. But this year,
and
right?
why wouldn't you?
Right. I get it. Venables is the guy, and they're just dominating and winning. But this kid's got it. He's got it. 60 tackles on the year, 12 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3 QB hurries, and a pick, and a pass breakup. I mean, give me all of that. We could use that right now, right? You know what I'm saying? So, uh, the Oklahoma pot, though, I feel like it's the meat is gonna go that way when it gets closer. But we'll have to wait and see. Comes time to my segment of the show, right? We kind of alluded to it a little bit. Um, what in God's name is going on with the safety play, right? They were the backbone of this defense for the first 4 weeks, and we were praising them. Outside of DQ, we were praising them. And now it seems as though everybody, even our guy Kilgore, who got exposed, is starting to weigh down a little bit. Too much work. I think it's they're having to rely on them way too much because listen, no secondary wants to run on for 5-6 seconds chasing one of these guys that run 4-3, 4-4 routes because their guys up front can't get no pressure. And that's what's killing them, right? And they get come second half, come end of the third quarter, the gas is smoked, right? And you got to note the burden. And Theo Weiss, these guys are 6'3", 6'4", and they're fast and they have great hands and they can high point the ball. It's gonna wear on you, all right? I get it, but we can't have, targeted 5 times, 4 receptions with a PFF grade of 35. Targeted 3 times for 2 receptions with a PFF grade of 40. And then targeted, 6 times, 4 receptions and a touchdown. Not if you guys are going to be the heart and soul of this defense that we cannot have. So I need to see something change, or maybe give them a rest. Find a way to rotate guys, get some fresh bodies in there, guys who haven't had as much playing time, something, because these guys can't be getting all these snaps like that and expect to perform uh, at an elite level. Where's Pup Howard? What in God's name is going on? 14 snaps. That's the second lowest of the year. We're going into week 9. Your record sucks. Let the dude play, right? Like, you had no pressures in a 37.5 PFF grade as a unit. A unit, cohesive unit. That's gross. Let this kid get a chance because what do you got to lose now, Brian? There's nothing else you got to lose. It's over. You're playing for the bottom of the barrel, toilet bowl. Let the kid get a shot.
It's with Pup Howard, it almost has to be that he's just not picking it up. He's not practicing well or something,
Yeah.
and they're just that I mean, to me, they're taking snaps away now.
Yeah.
Something's not clicking for him in practice. That has to be it, right? That's the only worthwhile explanation I can come up with. With the safety play, man, I mean, if you cut the dog loose to chase the fox,
Yes.
and the fox is running around all day, the dog's going to get
They get
tired.
tired.
And these guys, man, they're chasing that fox all day long because, and you're like, well, rotate some guys in, give them. There is nobody else. I mean, to me, that's it, right? I mean, they have no depth because of just injuries, and they just don't have the bodies. I mean,
Yeah.
Judge Collier played more this week, and he didn't do great either.
No.
Um, Dial played better at least this week.
Fortune's been
Blah.
yeah,
He's just
everybody's
kind of
kind of
there.
mad. Yeah.
Keenan Nelson has to either be hurt or he's just not playing at all. In the nickel, Spalding's getting back to playing a little bit. They just don't have the depth in the back end, and they didn't have the depth coming into this season, and it's just getting exposed by the week more and more. And I don't know that schematically or anything that they
No,
can do about it short of the pass rush suddenly finding itself over these next 5 games.
you got a better chance of Jesus and sandals walking through your door than them finding the pass rush. You know what I'm
It
saying? Like,
seems that way, man, because they're just not getting home at all,
No,
and they can't blitz
no,
because if they blitz, you expose them to the back end even more because you're just not even when you blitz, you're not getting home.
yeah.
So that just makes it even worse.
And offenses
It's
have figured out they offenses have figured out to just slide protection to the middle.
yeah,
They just slide a guy in, keep him
that's
tight,
it.
and you can't. There's no penetration.
Yep. Yeah. They like I said, I think it said it's let- let's use the rest of this time on this topic because I want to ask you this because you would CFB Nation, you guys are into it all. Clayton White is fired the day after the Clemson game. Who are you targeting if you're Shane Beamer that you realistically
Manny Diaz. Manny Diaz. I'm here. Manny
what
Diaz is the guy that a lot of teams are looking at to cook with. I think that South Carolina has a program from the teams. Listen, I've heard
where's
BC,
he at now?
Penn State.
He's not the DC there, so he's is he assistant at Penn State or is he the DC at Penn
He's the
State?
DC.
So that's not realistic to me.
Well, I'm hearing that he's not going to stay there.
Okay. I
So
mean, because to me, I mean, when I think realistically, I mean,
you're
I
looking at
think you if you're leaving Penn State, you're going to another top 10 team, right? That's not South Carolina. I don't think they're going to pay $2 million to a defense coordinator. So that's why I'm trying to think realistically. I saw a list today that had a couple of names on it. They had a Power Five DC. I don't know his name, but he's at Rutgers.
who's the James Madison?
That was the other
Yeah,
guy, the
yeah,
James Madison, because
yeah.
their defense is freaking
Stupid,
ridiculously good
stupid.
this year.
Yeah, yes,
So those to me are more realistic guys because you can outpay Rutgers, right?
yeah.
Even though Rutgers has Big Ten money, they don't spend it like Michigan and Penn State and Ohio State do.
So
So
isn't Shiano the coach at Rutgers?
yes,
It sucks because guys just want to work with him.
right,
Right. That's the problem. It's prying him away
right.
from him is an issue.
Troy's defensive coordinator was the other name that I saw, and their defenses are consistently good. But you just did a group of five DC hire, and it tanked. So does that scare them off? I don't know. I think they're going to have to. I think they're going to move on from Clayton White. I don't know what the immediate answer is. Um, I
Yeah,
didn't think Dole Loggins would be the offensive coordinator that you went with last year either. So Shane Beamer doesn't seem to make the uh, routine hire, so to speak.
now this is just me kind of quickly brainstorming, but what about Colton Swan, linebackers coach for Utah? They what their defense is doing this year is I mean they've been doing it with that defense for a couple of years now, right? And their defense has been asked to do more because obviously no Cam offense has kind of been like a one trick pony. Really, you just run the ball, scheme two. The linebackers and that safety play has been really good. You know, Cole Bishop's a guy. Obviously, I know you're familiar with Cole Bishop.
Yeah.
Jonah Ellis and that who kind of is like a edge hybrid guy. He leads. I think he leads the nation in sacks. So it's like, is he a guy that maybe wanted to see take the next step?
I mean, and that could be the case. I mean, with Loggins, he was the tight ends coach at Arkansas, right? And you made it, but he had been an offensive coordinator before, so I
Right.
don't know if this guy's been a defense coordinator before. And when we bring up names like Utah and Rutgers, my first immediate thought is how well do they know the South? Because
Yeah.
you've got to be able to recruit the South, right?
Right. Right.
Although South Carolina does very well up the Mid Atlantic and Northeast region recruiting wise,
But
I
if
that's
you surround yourself with guys who are good in the South, like you said, the
right.
second,
Like
the DB's
Torian
coach,
Gray, yeah.
right? So you never know.
Maybe it's not as important as
Exactly.
the scheme and the
Right.
coaching and teaching aspect of it. I agree. That would that's outside the box thinking that I think that's the type of hire that I think South Carolina will do more than your go
Typical.
get Manny
Yeah.
more than Manny Diaz. I think Manny Diaz is
Yeah.
more
Up
the
echelon. Yeah.
yeah right.
Let's take a peek inside the curtain here at this Texas A&M game. It's noon. Eastern time on ESPN. Talk to me. What are your thoughts here?
Record wise, Texas A&M's not great, right? They're
Mm,
4-3, 2-2 in the conference. Their wins are against four bum teams, right?
yeah.
Right. I mean, New Mexico, ULM, Auburn,
Yeah.
and Arkansas are two of the
Yeah.
worst teams
Bottom
in the
feeders.
conference,
Yeah.
right? Especially Arkansas, probably the second worst team in the SEC ahead of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Uh, their three losses have they come a bit early in the season, a big 15-point loss to Miami, but they played Bama close, lost by
Tennessee.
6, played lost by 7 Tennessee. Coming off a bye week, so they've had a chance to get a little bit healthy, right? Uh, Not their quarterback position,
No.
Connor Wegman,
No.
who I know Shane has as one of the top
Yes.
quarterback prospects for the 2025 class. Um, Max Johnson, who is draft eligible, but we don't fear Max Johnson, right?
No.
Two
No.
interceptions this year, no TDs thrown, and one rushing TD against Tennessee. I'm
Yeah.
not worried about Max Johnson.
No.
However, uh, we've seen in the last 2 weeks what damage is done out of the slot. Ricky
Yeah.
Pearsall, career game, right?
Yeah.
Luther Burden, maybe not a career game, but they operated him out of the slot in Theo Weiss, and they ate.
Mississippi State.
And Mookie the Cooper also
Yeah.
ate last week. Mississippi State, Griffin
Yeah. Smoked us.
just smoked them. So uh, who's going to be the slot destroyer this week? A&M has one of the best slot receivers in the country, in my opinion. I think he's a top 100 draft pick, and Ananias Smith.
I liked him 2 years ago.
Pre-injury, I agree, but I think he's rounded back into form this year. And I think him in the slot, he's going to have a chance to have a big day. He's got 27 catches on the year for 451 yards. Their big number one receiver is Evan Stewart. He's got 31 catches for 450. So same amount of yards, but he's got 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Moose Muhammad III,
Yeah.
son of NFL legend Musin Muhammad. He's got big numbers this year as well. He's going to play in the NFL. They can run the ball a little bit. Le'Veon Moss, Amari Daniels, Reuben Owens, three-headed running back here,
Yeah.
right? Their offensive line is solid, but they've got some guys, but not it's not unbeatable.
Right.
Um, but our
Yeah. Yeah.
our 5 South Carolina practiced a tight end uh, on the second team last week, an offensive tackle, because they had no bodies.
He'll get steamrolled.
That's where we're at with
Steamrolled.
offensive line depth.
Yeah.
And here comes Texas A&M. Stud Edgerrin Cooper, 6 sacks, 13 and a half tackles for loss. Interior, McKinley Jackson's got 3 sacks. Edge, Fadil Diggs has got 3 sacks and 6 tackles for loss. Shamar Turner, 3.5 sacks, 7.5 for loss. Walter Nolan, 4 sacks. They in trouble
Oh yeah.
up front. And Rattler's going to need the ice bath this week. You have to think, right?
I hope he don't get hurt. I just hope as he continues to get hit like this down the run, it doesn't get wear and tear on him and he doesn't get hurt, because I have a funny feeling this is going to be an ugly day and they're going to be somewhere in tallied up around the 35, 36 sacks on the year total
Yeah.
by the end of this. You know what I'm saying?
It's rough, man. It's
Yeah.
rough.
It's just not.
But
it's not,
I'm sorry. This is their last road game of the year, by the way. So
get the 4 or 5 sacks out the way and maybe button it up after this.
I mean, obviously the sack numbers come down, right? At home.
Yeah.
So you've got 4 home games to close against Vandy, Jack State, Kentucky, and Clemson.
The last 2 could get ugly.
They could, but
they could beat Kentucky with no problem.
Those are gettable games too. So that's why I'm not slamming the door on the bowl just yet.
Right.
I'm not saying they can't. Here's our weekly positivity here. I'm not saying they can't close the door and win 4 of these next 5 games.
It's just
it's very unlikely.
Yeah.
low percentage, but it can be done. Um, but this game, man, it's one of those ones that they need to stay close
I think
in the
they
first
can
half.
though, because I don't
Yeah,
trust Max Johnson with a
I'm
dime.
I'm with you.
All right,
I'm with
and
you.
if they could, if somehow the interior line could get a little pressure again, right, and that's the only thing they get pressure from. But if they have success with getting the pressure uh, early, and we could somehow either keep it close or get points in the first couple drives, hey, we might be looking at this could be one coming down to the end where we're in it.
Yeah, they can't get behind like they did this past week.
They can't let them run the ball down their throat like they did last week.
Yeah, because
That
see,
can't happen.
you took Mario Anderson out of the game, and I'm not sure he was 100% last week either.
Right.
But he got took out of the game early because you're down 20 points and you
Yeah.
try to kick field goals to come back in the game, which
Dumb.
we don't need to rehash that again.
No. All right. Let's wrap this episode up with our predictions. I'm gonna give you my prediction first. I'm gonna go that what is it? 14 A&M's favored by?
14.
I'm gonna go with A&M 32-17. But somewhere in the back of my mind, after we put the positivity bug out there, I got a 22% chance of hope that South Carolina can maybe flip that around. What's your prediction here?
I'm going to go A&M 38-20, but I've talked myself into thinking that they if they can stay close in the first half,
Yes.
that they'll give themselves a chance.
Yeah.
But if they start out last week or this week like they did last week, it's going to get really bad for Spencer Rattler, like to the point I could see Lenore Sellers having to play this week bad.
Yeah.
Or would they just
Say
actually I'm at the point now in this point in the season, they would go to I bet they go to Luke Dirty. Because I don't know if you've noticed this or not. All the injuries at wide receiver. Have you seen number 9 out there?
that's Doty, right?
Yeah.
No, he played early.
Yeah. They're saving the red shirt on Sellers.
You think so?
I think so. That's what they've done to me. That's the what they've done now is they realize that this season's probably over. And with the beating that Rattler's taking, they're one injury away. I think that Doty is going to be the quarterback if Rattler has to come out because I think they want to keep the red shirt on Sellers. He can play up to 4 games,
Right. Right.
right? So,
And he can play in the bowl. It doesn't count
right. But
if they make it.
so realistically speaking, he could play against like maybe Jack State if they were to maybe run that up a little bit. I don't know that they can, but if they can, you know, you
Yeah.
could see that, or maybe against Vandy, depending on how that goes as well. But I think Doty comes in if anything happens to Rattler.
I love the hot take there because I wasn't sure if they were gonna ride him out and
I've started noticing the last couple of weeks because he was like against Georgia and everybody else, he was playing receiver a lot. He
weeks three,
hasn't.
four, and five he was out
I
there.
would be curious, and you can go back and look at the PFF data later if you want to see how many snaps he's played at wide receiver in the last 2 or 3 games. I bet you it's not many, if any at all.
Yeah, I don't think it's many at all. I didn't see him last week at all.
Yeah, I didn't either. And like I said, and this is after they had the run of injuries at receiver now. I mean, you're missing three. You're missing the 3 guys that started week 1 at wide receiver now.
Exactly. You had the skill.
Leggett, Brown, and Wells were your 1, 2, 3 and
Three.
wide receivers to start the season. All those guys are hurt now.
Yeah, it's gonna be Griffin. It's gonna be it's gonna be Harbor, and it's gonna be Omega
Tyshawn
probably.
Russell's going to play
Yeah, that's
for the true freshman there, number 21. He's played every week now. I think his redshirt pass is gone.
yeah.
So I think those are going to be the guys they're going to have to go with now.
Well, we tried to be positive on this one. There was a little bit of positivity. Hopefully, when we reconjoin next week at this time, we'll have good things to say. We'll have a smile on our faces, and we won't be talking about putting bags on our heads before Halloween. But for myself, Nino Brown, my guy Brian Bosage, this is the Garnet Roost on the CFB Nation. Until next week, we're out.